Good afternoon and welcome to our Lunch and Learn. Today we have a very special guest who needs no introduction, but I'm going to try to introduce her anyway. Ms. Tack Allen, who is the business infrastructurist for BSBA. And I'm going to publicly say this. I tell her all the time, but I'm publicly going to say this. There is nobody better at this than her. Like if you are trying to get your business together, this is who you need to be talking to. Schedule a consultation with her. She has one of the most brilliant minds. She's super creative and extremely knowledgeable about everything business related, things that you probably wouldn't even think that someone's brain could come up with in like 2 seconds. She's able to do it. I know I put a lot on it, but I mean, like, she's real deal. So, with no further ado, please welcome Miss Tack Allen.
Hello. That means so much to me. I'm sure there might be people around the world somewhere, but I just happen to love what I do. Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing very well, and I really hope that you have brought a Tylenol or something because we're going to dive into some hard conversation today about our businesses. So my name is Tack Allen. Like Selena said, I am the business infrastructure consultant for the Black Small Business Association of California. My main job is to make sure that businesses are in full compliance, or actual businesses, and legalized and recognized by all of the entities, the IRS, the state, the county, but most importantly, that our logistics and our structure is sustainable and sound so that we can build capacity. Am I just going for it?
Yeah, I mean, I can ask you some questions. I could treat you like I treat everybody else.
I mean, yeah, I'll take the everybody treatment.
Okay, let me give you the everybody treatment. So, what is the
Okay.
number one thing people need to know about being in business? What actually makes someone a business? What makes a not someone? Because people, you tell me this all the time. People can't be businesses.
Yeah.
So, what is it that constitutes someone being in business?
So there are a variety of legal structures and agencies that you have to go through to get that business off the ground. First and foremost, it depends on your structure. The only time a person can be a business is if they're a sole proprietor. And at that point, they would be identified as that business because those assets are shared and they're the same assets. But that's the same thing with liability. If the business is in trouble, you personally are in trouble too, and everything that you own can be touched. Otherwise, we need to talk about structure. If you're a corporation, an LLC, whatever other type of structure that you would have, you have a state agency that you would need to be recognized by. In the state of California, it's the Secretary of State's office. Really, in every state, it's the Secretary of State's office that would govern whether or not those businesses are recognized. And then you have the IRS that also needs to recognize you as a business. And then for most counties and cities and parishes around the country, you would also have to have some sort of a recognition with them. So if you have all of these things in order, then you are legally a business. If one of them lapses, then you are no longer legally a business. So you got to keep up with that.
Now, what happens if your business structure collapses?
Well, first of all, there's no business structure that collapses. It's neglected. That's the first thing. It's not going to collapse. If it goes out or gets suspended or expires, it's simply because the owner or the board or the governing body did not do their job to make sure that that business was actually staying in compliance with the entities that we just named. Once one or multiple of these entities no longer recognize you or put you within suspended status, you are not a legal entity, and you may not continue to do business legally. It tends to be a long, tedious process to revive unless we catch it very early. But also, you wouldn't be eligible for banking products and services. You wouldn't be eligible for loans. You wouldn't be eligible for grants. You would be ineligible for so many other things that are privileges of having a legally structured business.
And we see this all the time when we're talking to some of the business, well, when you're talking to them and I'm ear hustling, where they're like, well, I want to apply for a grant or I want to apply for a loan. And then, you start asking questions like, okay, well, how's your business structured? Do you have taxes? Do you have two
Yes.
years of taxes? Do you have business bank account statements? Can you speak a little bit to that and why
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
connect um, when it comes to our businesses and understanding why they need those things?
Yes. So structure is immensely important. The first thing structure does is it makes sure that your risk is being managed and mitigated appropriately. An example is if you have employees and you are sole proprietor, if something happens to those employees, you're really going to be in trouble and you're really going to have a hard time because they can come after your assets. Um, if somebody is not structured properly, it can also mean that your business can essentially collapse. Keep in mind, your business legal structure may not collapse, but your business structure can collapse. An example is that you've taken on, let's say, a government contract as a sole proprietorship, and you now have to bring people into this organization as a 1099 or otherwise. Well, the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board are probably going to have some questions about how we're managing to do this within a certain context of structure. But it also comes back around to mitigating that risk, right? Like if we just structure properly in the first place, we wouldn't have to have certain conversations. So if you are a sole proprietor taking government contracts, we need to talk. Go ahead and book a consultation. That is a big no-no. If you are an LLC and you have a full running board with 5 branches, we need to talk. There's just so many other things that could be going on that are very unique. But the main thing is that this structure is supposed to help you manage the risk that you may be up against. Not just in the front end of the business, but as you grow, the goal is to make sure that we mitigate all of the possibilities as much as possible.
And what are some of those risks?
It depends on the type of business that you're in. So I believe off kilter, if you are a food recipe based business, you need to go ahead and be an LLC. And that's because you take a risk of someone getting sick off of your product. You take a risk off of someone having an allergic reaction. These are things that all cause bodily harm, but it can lead to so many other issues. We're also talking about your own risk, right? Like, is there a risk of injury in your line of work for any other type of entity or agency? If you are a yard service, if there's a chance that you can hit a rock and it goes through somebody's window, that's a risk. If there is a chance that, you can run something over that clips a line in somebody's yard, that's a risk. It just depends on the business. But the goal is to make sure that if there are risks to be taken, that one, on the front end, the entity is already protected. And then two, that we're not overlooking anything that's assumable as a risk. And an assumable risk is something that won't necessarily hurt your operation. It's just, a risk nonetheless. But we want to get rid of that as much as possible, because the last thing you want to do is get started in business and now you're buried in like lawsuit or litigation and you did not have the proper structure. So maybe now your house is up, as collateral for this litigation, or, maybe your insurance wasn't correct. The goal is just to start the business in the way we need to run this business.
As a mouthful. Start the business in the way that we need to run this business. Let's talk about all of the different things that business owners need to be aware of with regards to filing paperwork and deadlines and why that is so important.
Okay. So just because you did the paperwork to start the business does not mean that that paperwork is sustainable to keep the business. A lot of these documents have deadlines. So with the Secretary of State, you should be filing that statement of information annually. With your taxes, we prefer you do quarterly taxes. I mean, it's just a lot cleaner and it's a lot easier to remember, but you get into your grace period to do your taxes, right? As far as articles of incorporation are concerned, oftentimes we see people come in with like LLCs, S corps, and C corps, and they filed articles of incorporation, but that's not technically what starts the business. A statement of information is. And that statement of information has to be produced within 90 days of filing those articles or taking on that corporate name. As far as like sole proprietors are concerned, fictitious business name statements, those are due every 5 to 10 years. It depends on the county and then what you are into. Your business license is renewable every 1 to 3 years. It also depends on where you are. And then, of course, depending on industry, there are certifications, there are licenses, there are so many other things. The whole point, though, is that these deadlines have to be kept up. So everyone, from the day you establish your business and file that document the first time, it should go on a calendar, your corporate calendar, as a reminder that this needs to be revisited. And I would suggest that you revisit every single document annually to make sure that you maintain good standing. Because the second one of these documents expire, you're in trouble. The second one is suspended, you are no longer in business. The second your fictitious business name expires and you don't renew, someone else could come and get that fictitious business name. So maybe they want your reputation and they were waiting on you to miss out. And I've actually seen that before too, where there's a corporation that filed over the top of a fictitious business name because it was expired. And the previous owner was still doing business as a sole proprietor, but they weren't in good legal standing. And so unfortunately, because they didn't maintain it, they weren't able to keep that name.
That's
It's a sad story. Keeping up those deadlines is so immensely important that you kind of just let it be up for grabs if you don't handle that business.
Let's talk about revenue and cash flow.
Lord,
what we have these ideas of what we think things should be. And then what actually happens the first year of business. And I mean, really, I want to talk about managing expectations. For someone who is just starting, how talk about that.
I get where you're going with this. Okay, so yes, we are going to manage our expectations. Listen, if you have a bank product or a bank service and you get $1 million in your first year, fantastic. Like, we are going to root for you. We're going to hoot and holler for you. We are really going to be like, you did that, right? But for everybody else, the first year of business is an investing year. And it's going to cost us a lot more money than we're going to make. And even when we see money coming in, that money has to be reinvested back into the business, not necessarily into our own pockets. And that's because, let's say that you're a recipe-based business. If you start with an initial investment of $500, and in your first month, you manage to make $1,500, that's not profit. You really made $1,000. Because your initial investment was that $500, but you should also go back and now invest an additional $500 to now grow your following or your capacity or things of that sort. Same thing if you're in, kind of let's say you're in a trucking business, right? You get one truck and this is your contract for the year. Of course, that truck's going to cost money. You're going to have insurance. You're going to have all these other things. The first year is an investment year. And you may see some dollars and cents come in, but we really want you to fight that tingly urge to touch that money and like put it in your pocket so that you can have a better logistic when it comes to managing that money, how it comes in and what gets reinvested into your business. Because despite if you have a brick and mortar or not, you have an overhead cost. What does it cost you to run your business? And if you're only making what it costs you to run your business, then we're not making anything. We're actually breaking even and we're still at zero. So first year, investment year. Second year, we are really starting to manage those logistics and we may start seeing a little bit of cash flow. It's not uncommon to see some cash flow in the second year, but it's definitely not going to be on a broad scale level because by the second year, what we're really working on is our identity as a business. And we want to start looking at like how we market ourselves, how we would like to be perceived by the public that would use our services or our products. And as you start to manage that identity, what you'll find is that you'll either hit a point of efficiency with being able to bring people in and go through some convergence, or you'll see that maybe that's not working and we have to go back to the drawing board. By year 3, we should definitely be seeing some cash flow. If we've handled up in year one in our investment, we've gotten great financial logistics in place. We're able to go through that reinvestment strategy appropriately. Our branding is looking really good. We're making great communications and contacts with, a plethora of individuals. By year three, that's when we go, okay, wait, this is going to work. We can really do this. But give yourself some grace. Like Rome wasn't built overnight, neither was the United States. Give yourself some grace. If you don't see it in the first year, you just paid out a bunch of money. You're not going to see it in the first year, right? If you don't see it in the second year, keep that same mindset. It's at that point that you think it's not going to work out that you make a little adjustment and then it works out. But you have to stick with it and you have to give yourself some grace. The things that are built the quickest collapse the quickest. And that's one thing we have to focus on. If you build your business overnight, it can be gone in a day. If you build your foundation with the appropriate amount of time, with logistics and policies and revenue data and things of that sort, and you're getting great converted, you can sustain that business. And if the business collapses, it only collapses to the height of the foundation. It doesn't go underground. And that's the goal. Take your time to build your business. And if you're not sure, call us. Call somebody who can help you put all of that in place. But pace yourself. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint race.
That's good. That's really good. Because even, myself, I find myself getting impatient because I want things to happen like right now. I want it right now.
Mhm.
Instant gratification. And then when it doesn't, it's easy to get discouraged.
Yeah.
So what would you say to our business owners who were doing super well pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic hit and they've just kind of been having a hard time since then?
The first thing I would encourage is that we get back up. If you were doing it before this market and the way this market runs right now, you can definitely do it again. And it'd actually be a lot simpler at this juncture because the market has broadened towards smaller businesses. And in fact, there's a lot of legislation that says that, the state and counties and cities, they have to work with you. So this is an awesome time to get back on that horse and really, strategize how you're going to ride it. But again, don't be hard on yourself in the process of it. Whatever it was that worked before, let's examine that. What are the things that we didn't feel worked before? Let's examine those things. Every situation you run into in business is a learning experience. And as long as you learn from it, it goes towards the growth and sustainability of your business. So don't be discouraged. Sometimes we have to restructure. Sometimes we change our plans. And then let me give you an example. The most successful retail industry businesses that survived the pandemic survived because they were able to pivot. Target goes, you know what? You can't come in here. Enter Target Shipped, right? And Target Shipped is still around. I have that Shipt membership. It's going to be here in 2 hours. I don't have to talk to anybody. I don't have to go on the store. They're going to drop it right at my door. Great concept, but they were able to pivot. Now let's look at something like Bed Bath & Beyond, right? They were not able to pivot during this shift. And where are they? Okay. So we have to be able to be innovative in our approaches as well and not be so rigid when it comes to the concept of our business. Pre-pandemic, it may have worked like X, but the pandemic taught us a lot about what we can and cannot do and what we do and don't have to do. Example, like they said that we couldn't work from home. We found out that was a sham. We're actually very efficient from home. Same concept with your business. Sometimes you have to make these more flexible offerings so that you can drive in the client base that agrees and aligns with what your goal is for your business.
So I'm trying to process all the words that you said. But that
basically be flexible, be
yeah.
open and flexible. Because we might think it's a good idea, but there's a big difference between theory and practice. In theory, it sounds fantastic. In practice, it could be a train wreck. But we have to be flexible as business owners to understand how these things that we're coming up with resonate with our potential client base. If your client base is telling you that they don't like something, you're going to be a very niche business and you're going to have a very exclusive client base, or you're going to pivot and be a little flexible to give the client base what it is that they're looking for and what it is that they said that they want from you as a business. And that's oftentimes the difference between a business that succeeds and a business that does not succeed. Listen to your client base. That's the end all be all. They're bringing you dollars and cents. Listen to your client base. Don't lose your identity in the process, but definitely hear them out.
I like that. Okay, I want to take this opportunity to segue over to our Business Boost program, which I'm really excited and proud of. Can you talk a little bit about the purpose of this program and what BSBA's involvement is going to be as far as this program is concerned?
Yes, I'm actually very excited about Business Boost too. I'm more so excited after looking at some of the applications that have come in. We have some amazing businesses. We have some fantastic Black-owned businesses in California. Don't ever let anyone tell you that Black people in California don't do good business, because on paper, boy, they look fantastic, fantastic. So this Business Boost program is a very unique and very customized opportunity for every business that enters. You are going to get consultations that are very specific to your business. I'm not going to sit you in a general room. We're not going to talk about your neighbor's business, really, unless we think scaffolding would be beneficial. But in all reality, your business is a unique thing all by itself, and your passion that drives it is also very unique. So we are going to talk about these business structures. We're going to talk about your legalization. We're going to talk about your logistics. We're going to talk about your points of growth. We're going to forecast what that cash flow and that revenue stream could look like. But we're also going to do things like work on your credit. We're going to work on your personal credit. We're going to get you some business credit. We're going to give you an opportunity to interface with bankers who would actually be your coaches all throughout the process. So you not only get a consultant, you get a business banker that is going to be your mentor and coach the whole process. You also get an accountant, you get a talent acquisition specialist, you get some resources. I'm just so excited about this program. And really it's because these businesses already look great. I cannot wait to see the growth on the other side. Like by the time you come in and get this rich information, you're not going to tell these businesses anything. They change your phone number on you to them like, new phone, who this? And we're going to root for them in the process because it's going to start to flow for them. So I'm just thrilled to see it, but I'm also thrilled to see like the variety of businesses that we have. We have tax agents, childcare businesses, contractors, like we have a little bit of everything in here. Like we are like literally the bomb.com in business in California. And I cannot wait to show the state what the state of Black business looks like here, because I think with just a little fine tuning, like we're going to be the creme de la creme in business out here in this state. And I just cannot wait to get by that. So I'm sorry for those who missed that application deadline. I had to catch us on the next one, but I can't wait to get started, and I can't wait for these businesses to meet each other.
And there will be a next one.
There will be a next one.
There will be a next one. Let's talk. We got about 7 more minutes. Let's talk about how Business Boost is designed to increase access to capital for our small businesses.
Okay, perfect. So at BSBA, we don't take the gripe only approach. We might gripe a little bit, but we're going to do something about it. Which makes us very unique is that we see these problems, but we see them from a different lens. We talked about in one of our lives, the diet, I'm not even going to call it diet redlining because it's just dignifying it too much. It really is legalized redlining that is transpiring. And so BSBA, we learned that we are able to actually go directly to some of these institutions and really make heavy change with how they approach our community. And we've been very excited about doing that. So not only are we exploring products and services for these businesses that are very specific to the culture of Black people in California, But these products and services are also very unique to this process. In terms of this access to capital, it's sustainable beyond the point of business boost. So you guys come in a business boost, you're going to get the first dibs of it. You're going to get to see it firsthand. You're going to get to see the full wraparound service that will be provided for you to be able to gain this access. But you're also going to have the knowledge, right? You complete this program, you're going to have a fully stacked financial package, and you're going to understand how to speak the language of the underwriters, the bank, the lending agents, the whole nine, which are some of the things that our community is missing. I think sometimes we're victims to we don't know what we don't know. And oftentimes it's that gap between experience and exposure. Unfortunately, some of us have had experiences, but we lack exposure to that education piece. So it's kind of like having a nail gun and you've never learned how to use a nail gun. You have a tool, but no skill to use the tool, right? And then in other cases, you have a skill, but you don't have a tool. And so we're shoring up on both sides, the skill and the tool, so that you know how to apply all of this firsthand. And that's why it's so important that we do this with a financial institution. You need the front row, firsthand knowledge of how to get this done. And when you come through here, everything will be completed if you do your homework. If you do your homework, do your homework, do your homework.
It's not homework.
Do that
Definitely homework. But when you complete it,
you'll look good
on your own stuff.
Yes.
Where you
Yes.
didn't even know
Yes.
you were missing information. Talk a little bit about what their interactions with BSBA will look like. And this isn't anything that's new
Right.
to our clients. But let's talk a little bit about, you've got the business boost, you've got the financial stuff, you've got the access to banking mentors, but what are they going to get as a result of working with BSBA?
Okay, perfect. So as Selena said, this is just a standard BSBA practice, but no process should be void of this type of service. Each participant and each client of BSBA comes in and you get an immediate individualized plan. And this plan is only specific to you, your business, your goals. And as we make progress through this plan, you'll actually see growth in your business. That's my favorite part about the IPs, is that we get to go through these intricate processes, but we actually get to check boxes to to demonstrate that you're actually growing. And you'll see it in your business as well. My favorite part is having clients come back a couple of weeks later, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got 5 more clients because of XYZ. So you'll get that individualized plan. We will actually meet with you as many times as it takes to get your business to a point where you're ready to hire. We're not just talking about efficiency. We're talking about we need your capacity to build so you can hire. But you get an accountant. You get a resource agent. Selena is, in my mind, she's the I know a guy person. I think everyone should have a friend like her because it's like, I need XYZ. Oh, I know a guy. I got that connection. And she really does. Like, that's the crazy part. Like, I've heard people say, I know a guy, and they never produced the guy. You seen that, Selena? So it's like, oh, I know a guy. You're like, where's the guy at? He never showed up to the party.
Never.
But her guys actually show up and call you back. So that's my favorite part. That actually works. But each connection that is made is industry specific. Each mentor that you're given is industry specific. Each consultation that you're given is very specific to your goals and your needs. So you won't just come in and understand how to run your business through consultations. You will get the resources. You will get the network that's already built in. You will have an accountant. When you're ready to hire, we will talk about talent acquisition. And if there are things that you just don't know about acumen, we have a professional development coordinator. So everything that you need is housed all in one spot. It doesn't matter if you're a Business Boost participant or a client that comes to BSBA. You get the same service across the board. We might talk about you a little bit to your face. We're going to laugh at you a little bit because Selena thinks I'm just really hard on people. I'm not. I just want to see y'all succeed. The goal is for you to know the truth about where you are so we can work it out. I can't come in here lying to you and giving you like sugar and daisies and think it's going to, we're going to see change. So charge that part to my head and not my heart. But you're going to get some work. I promise you, you're going to see a result. I can't name a single client that has come through BSBA that will not testify that they have seen results in their business and in the industry. So Come on over, y'all. Come get this free work.
Okay, Tack, this is the last question because we're about out
Uh-huh.
of time. Why do you do what you do? Because I don't think people understand or know this, but at this time, we are totally and completely volunteers. We come here every day and we're
Hmm.
here every day and we're volunteers. We don't get paid for this service that we're providing. So I know why I do what I do, but why do you do what you do? Why is it so important to you to do this type of work, this work?
Truth be told, I got to a point where I'm just fed up. And I don't think being fed up is valuable if you're not going to change the condition. I got fed up with walking into rooms of industry, and I got fed up with walking into legislation, and I got fed up with walking into rooms where people sit and they make policies and I don't see any of us. And then when I do encounter us, the only thing that kept us out of that room was ignorance. It's not because we're not talented. We literally dominate everything that we do. Like literally, if the community is like, we're gonna go play kickball, we're gonna be the best kickball community on the planet, hands down.
Get me on a team. I'm good.
Hands, see, there it is, already recruited. Hands down, we're gonna be the best at it. And it's not to isolate or to exclude anyone else. The reality is that this country's practice has intentionally left us out until there was nothing left, and then we had the crumbs, right? I have been fed up watching our community say we need flutes, and then we go into a room with decision makers and they're passing out violence. It is upsetting and it's frustrating, but it's also very entrapping in that they go, hey, you see, they couldn't do it in the first place, they failed. No, that's not what happened. What happened was, one, there was a little bit of ignorance there. So the education was very necessary. But two, the resources were inappropriate. We are so under resourced. The more we empower businesses with education and information, the more we can control the resources that our businesses have to access to be able to be successful. And that's why we're so emboldened and empowered to go and call out a financial institution about the way that they handle our businesses. That's why, because we understand that the more you're educated and the more you can apply, because I don't believe in just having a conversation. We need practicum, and that's what you get around here. You don't just get a workshop. We're going to put this to work right away because you're going to know how to run your business. You're not just going to come in and sell cookies. Anybody can sell cookies. We're getting out of that hustle mentality. We're going to know exactly how to run our business. We're going to know exactly how much one cookie costs and one chocolate chip in that cookie. And we're going to be able to boast about that because that empowers you to run a sustainable structure. But really, it's just it's because I have been so fed up watching us not win in situations that were winnable. If one, we had access, and two, we had the information. It's that simple.
Well, that is your word for today. Schedule a consultation so you can get access. It's that simple. We want to see you win. I definitely want to see you win.
Yep.
And I try to surround myself with people who are like minded and want to see the same things for our community as I do. So, Tack, thank you today for not coming in because you come in every day, but because I think it's important for people to get to know us and understand what makes us tick and why we move the way we do. So, with that, thank you for joining us today for our Lunch and Learn. I hope you've gotten something out of it, but if you've gotten nothing else, schedule a consultation. We're here to help. Okay. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Bye. Hope to see y'all soon.